I never thought a single photograph could change the way I looked at my family forever. Growing up in a small suburban town in the US, I always believed my parents cared more about appearances than about the truth. But it wasn't until that one moment, the cut on my face, the photo shoot, and the secret they tried to hide, that I realized just how deep that belief ran. It all started on a Saturday morning. My parents had booked a professional photographer for our family portraits. They wanted everything perfect. The outfits, the smiles, the background, nothing could be out of place. To them, this wasn't just a picture. It was proof that we were a perfect family. But the truth? We weren't perfect at all. My sister and I, we fought. A lot. That morning, the house was filled with tension. My sister, who was just a year younger than me, had always been jealous. Jealous of my grades, jealous of how I got more attention, jealous of everything. And on that day, while we were getting ready, she lost her temper. I don't even remember what I said to her. Maybe it was something small. But in a flash of anger, she grabbed a hairpin from the dresser and scratched my face. The sting was sharp, and within seconds, a red line appeared across my cheek. I gasped, staring at her in shock. My mom rushed in, eyes wide, and instead of asking if I was okay, her first words were, "Hide it. We don't have time for this. The photographer will be here any minute." I couldn't believe it. I was standing there, cheek burning, tears in my eyes, and all my mom cared about was hiding the wound. My dad joined her, his voice firm. "Don't make a scene. Just cover it with makeup. No one needs to know." I felt invisible. Like my pain didn't matter. Like the family picture was more important than the truth. They sat me down in front of the mirror, dabbing layer after layer of concealer over the cut. My sister stood in the corner, silent. No apology, no guilt, just silence. When the photographer arrived, I forced a smile. He positioned us in the backyard, the autumn leaves glowing gold behind us. He told us to laugh, to lean closer, to look like we loved each other. But inside, I was broken. And then something unexpected happened. The makeup couldn't fully hide the cut. The camera, with its sharp lens and perfect lighting, captured everything. The faint red line was there in every shot. Subtle, but undeniable. I didn't realize it then, but those photos would become the turning point. That night, after the photographer sent over a few previews, I overheard my parents whispering in the kitchen. "Can we edit it out?" my mom asked. "It looks bad," my dad muttered. "People will ask questions." I stood there in the hallway, my chest tightening. Why were they so afraid of people knowing? Why did they care more about appearances than about me? It wasn't just about the photo. It was about the truth they always tried to cover up, the fights, the jealousy, the pain. And now, for the first time, there was proof. The days after the photo shoot felt heavy. I thought maybe my parents would forget about it, or maybe they'd finally sit down and talk to me about what happened. But no one mentioned the cut, not once. It was as if my pain didn't exist, as if the red line across my face had been erased from memory. Except, it hadn't. Week later, the photographer delivered the full gallery. My parents gathered around the laptop, scrolling through picture after picture. Everyone was smiling, the colors were bright, the poses perfect. But every time my face appeared, the scar was there, small, but noticeable. My mom sighed, loudly. "We can't use these. Everyone will notice." My dad leaned back, rubbing his forehead. "Maybe the photographer can edit it, smooth it out." I sat quietly at the table, listening. No one asked me how I felt. No one cared that every time I looked at those pictures, I was reminded of the moment my sister's anger turned physical. They only cared about what others would say. Finally, I spoke up. My voice was shaky but firm. "Why don't you just tell the truth?" The room fell silent. My mom's eyes narrowed. "Do you want people to think we're a broken family? That we can't even take one picture without drama?" My dad added, "You'll understand when you're older. Image matters. People judge." But I didn't want to understand. I didn't want to live in a world where lies and appearances were more important than honesty. That night, lying in bed, I stared at the ceiling and replayed everything in my head. My sister's silence, my parents' denial, the cut on my face that everyone pretended didn't exist. It felt like I was carrying a secret alone, one that wasn't even mine to carry. A few days later, something happened that none of us expected. The photographer uploaded a few of the photos to his professional website. He often did that, posting highlights from family sessions to attract more clients. And there it was, our family photo, perfect smiles, perfect background, and my scar, faint but real. Within hours, relatives started calling. My aunt was the first. "What happened to her face?" she asked my mom over the phone. I could hear her voice echoing from the kitchen. My mom stammered, "Oh, it's nothing. Just a little accident." But the questions didn't stop. Cousins texted me directly. "Are you okay? Did something happen?" For the first time, people noticed me. Not the version my parents wanted to display, but the real me. The girl behind the perfect family photo. My sister, though, was furious. She stormed into my room, slamming the door behind her. "You should have told the photographer not to use those pictures," she hissed. I looked at her, disbelief flooding me. "Me? You're the one who cut me." Her face twisted. "You always play the victim. Mom and Dad are right. You ruin everything." Her words pierced deeper than the scratch ever could. But strangely, I didn't cry this time. Instead, I felt free. Because now, the secret wasn't just mine. The truth was out there, in plain sight, and no amount of makeup or editing could erase it. The next Sunday, we had a family dinner at my grandparents' house. Everyone was there. Uncles, aunts, cousins. And as we sat down to eat, I felt all their eyes on me. They'd seen the photos. They knew something had happened. My mom kept forcing smiles, passing dishes, pretending nothing was wrong. My dad stayed quiet, avoiding eye contact. My sister scrolled on her phone, sulking. Finally, my grandmother spoke. Her voice was soft but firm. "Sweetheart, what happened to your face?" The table froze. My parents exchanged a quick glance, silently begging me not to say anything. I could feel their pressure without them saying a word. But this time, I couldn't stay quiet. I put down my fork, looked around the table, and said the words that had been trapped inside me. "My sister cut me, and my parents told me to hide it." Gasps filled the room. My aunt shook her head, murmuring, I knew something was wrong. My grandmother's eyes filled with tears. My parents tried to interrupt, but it was too late. The truth was out. And for the first time, I felt a strange sense of relief, because I wasn't carrying the weight of the secret alone anymore. The silence at that dinner table was deafening. For the first time in my life, I had spoken the truth out loud. No makeup, no excuses, no pretending. Just the raw, painful truth. My parents stared at me, their faces pale. My dad muttered, "We didn't want to embarrass you." My mom quickly added, "We were only trying to protect the family." But my grandmother didn't let them continue. She looked at them with disappointment in her eyes. Protect the family? By silencing her? By teaching her to hide pain instead of healing it? Her words sliced through the room sharper than any blade. My sister shifted uncomfortably in her chair, her eyes avoiding everyone's gaze. For once, she didn't have a comeback. She didn't have anger to throw at me. She just looked small. The rest of dinner was tense. No one knew what to say. But deep inside, I felt lighter. For the first time, I wasn't pretending. For the first time, I wasn't trapped under the weight of my parents' obsession with appearances. Later that night, when we got home, my dad pulled me aside. His voice was low, almost defeated. "You didn't have to say that in front of everyone. You made us look bad." I looked him straight in the eyes. "No, Dad. I didn't make us look bad. What happened made us look bad. Hiding it made us look worse." He didn't respond. For once, he didn't have the right words. Days turned into weeks, and slowly, things started to shift. My parents stopped talking about editing the photos. They didn't take them down either. It was as if they finally realized that covering up the truth only made it heavier. My sister, on the other hand, surprised me the most. One evening, she walked into my room, her face pale, her eyes heavy. She stood at the doorway for a long time before whispering, "I'm sorry." 2 words. Just 2. But they meant more to me than anything. I wanted to stay, angry. I wanted to hold on to the bitterness. But looking at her, I saw something I hadn't seen before. Remorse. Real, human remorse. I nodded. "Don't do it again." And for the first time, I think she understood the damage she had caused. But here's the thing. The scar didn't fade. Even as weeks passed, even as the wound healed, the faint line remained on my cheek. At first, I hated it. Every time I looked in the mirror, it reminded me of the fight, of my parents' silence, of the pressure to hide who I was. But then, something shifted. One day at school, a friend noticed it. She leaned closer and asked, "What happened?" I took a deep breath and told her the whole story. No sugarcoating, no hiding. And instead of judgment, she looked at me with empathy. "That must have been really hard," she said softly. And in that moment, I realized the scar wasn't something to be ashamed of. It was proof. Proof that I had survived something painful. Proof that I had spoken up, even when everyone wanted me to stay quiet. The scar became my story. And funny enough, those family photos, they became my favorite. Not because they were perfect, but because they were real. They showed a family that wasn't flawless, a girl who wasn't afraid to be honest, and parents who eventually had to confront the truth. Today, when I look at those pictures, I don't just see the cut. I see the strength it gave me. I see the moment I stopped living for appearances and started living for myself. Because sometimes, the things we try the hardest to hide end up being the very things that set us free.